Welcome to the Forum Thread Podcast numero dos. This is your host, Dark One Dry. We've got Chaos Mana,
Hello.
Mr. Fusion,
What up?
and Master Keg 200.
Wubba dub dub.
And we're all here now. We lost.
Forgot about me again.
And the Sweet Man.
Yes,
That one was
on
definitely
the
on
first
purpose.
podcast. We just never introduced him. So.
He's like the Matt Damon of this podcast.
At least we're consistent. I keep on forgetting him.
Yeah,
You're just so
That's not-
quiet over there, being sick and all.
yeah, that's true. I'm doing my best to get through it.
Alright, we were supposed to have Spy and Wubwave with us, but we kept on experiencing technical difficulties, so they will not be joining us tonight. We'll all shed a tear in their memory.
I'll drink a beer in their honor. 2 beers, in fact.
I just hate when the internet just decides to just not work. And I'm
Yeah, it's really
paying,
annoying.
we're paying for like faster internet, like an upgraded package, so when it doesn't work, it's even worse. Because we're paying all this money and we're still getting nothing.
Who's your provider?
Time Warner?
Oh, watch out, we're gonna get sued by Time Warner Cable now.
So I used to work tech support, and you sound just like this guy that I talked to once. He calls up. He's from New York or something, and I say, "Hey, my name's Shane, and how can I help you?" He says, "Why is my internet not working?" I'm like, "Sorry, what does your computer say?" Well, I don't know. I mean, I pay you guys tons of money every month, and my internet's not working. So what's the problem? And it took me probably 10 minutes to get this guy to give me basic information, like where he was and what was on his computer, so that I could try to help him. Right? He
Is
just
your
kept going around
computer
in
turned
circles like that.
on?
Yeah.
Is it
Oh
plugged
yeah.
into the wall?
Is your computer running? Is it plugged in?
Yeah.
Have you logged in?
Yeah.
Do you know what a password is?
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you use Internet Explorer? Did you double click the icon?
How does one internet?
How many search
How
bars
do
do
you
you have?
internet?
You have several lists. You have list number 1, which is the basics. Are you human? Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Do you have a computer in front of you? Yes, I do. Is it plugged in? Yes. Then go to sheet number 2.
You have no idea how many times people had unplugged cords and stuff.
I bet, man.
We've got a message from the Spy coming up here. What's he saying?
He's saying nothing. He's just trying to trick you.
Oh,
Send me
yeah.
a blank message.
never mind. Disregard that.
Well, I understand. I feel your pain. I worked at Office Depot in college, and I worked in the technology department. And I worked in a town right outside of where the college was, and it's mostly older, retired people.
Yeah.
And they would come in and buy computers, and it was a pain because the first thing they would always ask is, "What's the best computer you got here?"
Oh,
Well,
God,
I was point-
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
and you know,
God.
I don't know if you guys know, going to big box stores, usually the one that has the higher price tag is the better one at the box stores because it has the most updated features, including like RAM, hard drive space, etc., etc. So I would tell them, okay, it's this one. Oh, you're just saying that because it's the most expensive. You want me to walk out here? I'm like, look, man,
Well, I mean,
I don't make a commission off this. I would be glad you buying a $500 computer as opposed to buying a $1,800 computer and playing fucking solitaire on it. You know, it's like
Yeah. That's the main reason why I did not work in that half of the store when I worked at Best Buy. I sold TVs, not computers.
I don't blame you, man. It's a headache, man. I mean, look, I don't have a problem. I have family members that they call. I am the family friend IT guy, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But in terms of sales, I can see in retail stores how guys would and girls would want to pull their hair out dealing with people when it came to selling computer parts at places like that. I know at Fry's, Micro Center, and places like that, it's a little different because most of the clientele have a general working knowledge of parts, but when it comes to what I call the lowest common denominator end user, which go to like Best Buy and say, okay, I want an Apple iPad, I want this and that, and they have no idea what they're getting, and they spend all that money, and they're calling on the phone 10 minutes later when they get home. How do I turn it on? How do I do this?
Oh, I know. And then
This is a
those
lot-
are the same
lot,
people that
yeah.
refuse to talk to you when you're in the store. You're like, hey, can I help
Yeah.
you with something? Like, no, I'm good. Like,
Yeah.
obviously you're not. You're walking around with that glazed over look on your face, and No, you're not all right. Tell me what you need. No, I'm fine. Get away from me. Fine.
Well, I mean, you worked at Best Buy, so I'm sure you have a cavalcade of stories like that.
Yeah, I guess. Again, I worked at home theater, not so much in the
Okay.
PC center, so I had a.
What's the best TV?
Is it the biggest one?
The biggest-
I'm not about to put my sales pitch on this podcast. You can
No,
just,
don't do that.
You can just not even dream about that.
It would be lovely.
We did have someone call our store though and asked if we had live fish.
What?
What did
Seriously.
you tell them?
We told them no, the pet store was 2 shops down.
Oh wow.
Can
that's
you
a good
can you
one.
go get some fish and bring it over?
Please
I
don't
just
say
really
that.
want some live fish, man.
But I actually didn't have too many problems with the people that I talked to. I was the one of only 2 people at my store that actually made the amount of money that we were supposed to make per person. 'Cause even though we're not commissioned, they give us each a goal of what we should
Yeah.
make. And I would sit there and I would draw pictures with the people that I talked to. I'm like, okay, what's your living room look like? And I draw out their living room for them, and then show them where their TV would be, how far away that their couch would be, what they would need to set up. So I would draw everything out for them. Then if they didn't want to opt to have someone go out to their house to hook all this shit up, I would then draw pictures for them with what the connection jacks looked like, how they could set it up themselves. And
Wow.
That's just good
Fucking
customer
shit
service.
ever.
So
yeah,
I'm glad I-
that really is.
So Best
glad
Buy
I can
hated
do
me
most of
because
that.
I took away their installation services. I never got the installation services, but I sold a lot of TVs that way because people knew I weren't trying to just screw them over to get the services. I said, no, this is what you need. I'll show you how to hook it up. You can do it yourself when you get home.
Can you do that at my house?
No, I don't do that anymore.
All that's missing from my entertainment system downstairs is surround sound. I really would like that.
I like surround sound. I just don't like having the wires everywhere.
Yeah, I
Well,
agree.
don't they have wireless speakers?
They have Bluetooth speakers, but the problem with it is, if you want the multi-speaker set like a 5.1, you're gonna end up paying for decent sound quality quite a bit.
Yeah, and then you have to have batteries and all that stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Or you have or you have to have outlets wherever you're plugging in the speakers. So basically, you're still gonna have wires all over the living room or your entertainment area. It's just they're gonna have the speakers plugged directly in, or like you said, you're gonna have batteries, and that's kind of a pain in the ass to change them out. By the
Well,
way,
it-
is this PG-13? I mean, should I not be cursing? I just want to clarify that.
I don't think it matters too much. I mean, we're not gonna go into, crazy stuff, but
No. It's a force of habit because for such a long time, I don't know if in my profile it says this or not on Red vs. Blue. I worked in radio for about 9 years, and so after working in that field for so long, it's good to just be able to just say what I feel like saying without having somebody strong-arming me.
yeah, don't worry. You don't have to worry about
This
censoring
podcast is
yourself.
not rated. Speak
Okay.
your
Yeah.
mind.
Okay,
Unrated.
that's good to know. That's good to know.
And what way
he
has
just
returned.
he takes on a completely different voice and just starts swearing like crazy.
Apparently we have one wave back.
What was that?
We have one wave back.
Yes, we
He's
do.
just spying on us. He's not gonna do anything.
Yeah, it is
Every-
kind of.
Wave, you were not exactly missed, but still, welcome back.
Word
Where's
spooko.
He's gone, Wubwave. We're not even going to talk about him anymore.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
So Webwave can't record his sound right now, so that's why we're just reading what he's posting.
poor guy.
Yeah,
He's
he's
in a McDonald's.
posting something right now.
Yeah, he's tapped into a Wi-Fi at McDonald's, so he doesn't want to cause a scene in Mickey D's. The last thing we need to hear is kids screaming they want to go play in the ball land. That just does
It
not
is
sound
really
like
the
a
lowest
response.
form of
So
communication
that's
one
why we
can
need
take
you
on the
to be
internet.
screaming that right
Yeah.
now.
He's typing again.
It reminds me of like on my headphones for my iPhone. I've got one of the speakers on it, and I was walking through the grocery store one day, just listening to some music, and my mom gave me a call. So I just turned on the call and started talking to her with my headphones on. And I was walking through like the dairy aisle, and there's like tons of people everywhere. And I was just having a conversation. And then as I walked away, I realized I was that guy, just kind of talking to myself in the middle of a public place.
Well, it was even weirder when I had I had just had a person walk up and I couldn't even see that he had one of those earpieces in, and it sounded like he was talking to me.
That happens to me quite often.
It's like 10 years ago, you would have been asked to like come to the side, like, hey, do you need some help or something? Can we get anybody for you?
Now it's just commonplace to look like you're insane and you're talking to the air. Yeah.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
least 3 of the guys that I work with use Bluetooth when they're on the job, and so when you're walking past them and they say something, you're like, wait, what? And you turn to look at them, and they're not even
That's
looking in your
happened so many
direction.
times to me.
You're like, oh, you're on your phone, okay.
This happens so many times to me. It's annoying.
It's also weird when it looks like someone's waving at you and you're just about to wave back, and then I notice it's the next person over.
I've never had that happen. I just assume people don't like me, so why would someone wave at me? So.
Well, not necessarily wave, but say something to you.
Like, hey man, how's it going? And you're just like, pretty good. Oh no, the guy behind you. Oh, sorry, my bad.
Do you ever get one of those like generic greetings, like how's it going, and you answer the wrong question?
Yeah, I usually just reply it goes whenever they say how's it going. It goes.
Somebody was the other day said, hey, how are you? And I said, oh, it's pretty good. Like,
You're like, that's the incorrect response, but I'm not going to correct myself. Just
Yeah.
move on.
But usually when you answer incorrectly, no one even cares because it's just a default greeting that they give you, and it's a default answer that you give back, and no one really cares.
Yep.
Yeah.
Did you have to, were you required to talk to any of your customers? Like, did you have to say, like, oh, how was your day and all that?
Who are you directing that to?
Well, all of you peoples that have had support jobs,
For-
Oh, yeah,
selling
you-
jobs.
Yeah, for me, it's you greet them with a smile and say, hi, welcome to Best Buy. How are you doing today?
I was on the phone, so I never had to smile at anybody.
Well, even if you're on the phone, you should smile because they can hear your smile.
Oh,
Oh,
God.
okay. I worked in a few call centers, and that would drive me crazy when my supervisor was some crazy peppy girl that would play the Pippi Longstocking Glad game. Always have a
gosh.
smile on your face. Screw off, really, seriously. Man. You know what?
They can't see you, don't
I'd
smile.
prefer to sound natural, and it sounds sincere. So, if the person on the phone needs my help, if I sound sincere, they're gonna feel comfortable. If I'm pitching them a bunch of crap, they're gonna sense that, and they're gonna. If I give them an answer they don't like, they're gonna get hostile. That's just well, that's what I learned working in customer service, both on the phone and when I worked in retail while in college, which was a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't the, hello, how are you today? Do you need some help? We have so and so off and so and so. I would walk up and be like, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Do you need some help? No, okay, well, I'll let you look around. If you have any questions, let me know. And that would be it. And then usually they would comfortably ask me a quick question, and I'd answer it back and answer back, and then we'd start up a conversation, and that'd be it. I had supervisors where I worked at a few places that were always like, okay, now you have to go and push harder, push harder, push harder. I'm like, if they don't have money in their pocket to spend, they're just looking. I'm not gonna make them buy something they don't have.
I always feel bad when I sort of lead on and ask a lot of questions, but I never really intend to buy anything. It's like
Yeah.
an awkward.
Yeah,
Well,
you're one of those customers that I'd be like,
you,
after I spend a half hour of my time with you, and then you walk out of the store saying, okay, I'm going to go think about it. I'm like, you motherfucker.
You're like, I'm just lonely. I just wanted someone to talk to. Thanks.
Actually, my parents are just like that. That's just no.
This is why I'm not in customer service anymore. Otherwise, I would say I hated your parents. But it's okay, because I don't have to deal with customers anymore, so life is good for me now.
Wait,
Yeah.
what do you have to do then?
I detail cars.
That sounds interesting.
Actually, that sounds like a pretty cool job.
Sounds better than the job I have.
It's not exactly stimulating, but my place of employment's kind of cool. I can sit there and spend as much time on my phone as I want and not have to do jack shit, and no one cares as long as I'm there and I look like I'm doing my job, then they're good with it.
I want to find a job that I can at least get on my phone every now and then, because it would drive me crazy just sitting behind like a counter at a food place
Well,
all day.
like every other meeting that we have, they'll say, okay, we want you guys to spend a little bit less time on your phones, but my supervisor that says that, he always has does this eye roll and like, he's saying I have to say this, but I don't really
Yeah.
care one way or the other. They're like, yeah, you're cool. It's okay.
Well, at my job, we get on our phones whenever there's no customers. And that's a lot, even on Saturdays.
So
Even
they
on
make
Saturday.
you get on the phones.
No, they don't make
Quick,
me.
on the phones now.
No, I just do it. No, we just do it. Everybody does it. Even the managers do it. Even when the restaurant managers, they people on their phones. Nobody cares.
Where do you
That's
work
crazy.
at that doesn't ever have anybody there?
Surprisingly, McDonald's.
Okay, I can believe that.
he's
yeah.
My cousin works
Um,
for McDonald's. She's got some.
Wave's waiting
yeah.
for him because he's behind the counter and he's just talking to us on his phone.
You shouldn't have said you worked at McDonald's. Now Webwave's going to say, what? I could have gotten a free meal while I was listening to the podcast? That's a bunch of crap.
All you have to do is walk up to the counter and say the secret password.
Yeah.
That would have been the strangest thing if it was you at the counter.
I'm pretty sure I work at a different McDonald's than the one he's at.
I'm pretty sure that's the case.
No, there's only one
Millions of
McDonald's I'm
locations
talking
all
about.
across the world.
All right,
Yeah,
here's a
that
quick
was-
question. Any of the panel today, anyone going to RTX other than myself?
Yes, I will be there.
Are you a Guardian
Absolutely.
as
It's-
well?
A guardian?
Yeah, that's basically your volunteer staff. They call it Guardians. My wife makes fun of me because it
I-
has a title.
I wouldn't
Oh,
really-
I remember you mentioning something about that now. No, I didn't know what that meant.
Okay.
I wouldn't really. I mean, I think a Guardian would be fun, but I don't much. I'd be too wanting to go and have fun at all the different areas.
Well, and there's a forum set up strictly for Guardians, and I think there's only about not only, but there's about 300 total Guardians that were selected. I think they said they received something like 3,000 applicants, and they picked 300 people. But the
Oh,
funny thing
God.
is, they set up like a private area of forums for us to ask questions, create threads like who wants to go X days, who's share hotels, things like that. Well, a couple of them are already asking questions that are cracking me up. Like, what if there's a panel I really want to go to? Do I have to work? I already can tell Barbara is already kind of biting her teeth when she reads those things because can we leave to go eat? What it's what you want to volunteer, you get free access. Hey, you know what? Worst case scenario, you get to meet the people from the community and you get to have a good time. Yes, there's some work involved, but it's cracking me up to hear people trying to get out of doing work so they can go attend all the events.
That actually sounds like a really lively place. A lot better than the 50 Plus forum.
Yeah.
that place is abandoned. How many people have over 50 karma?
I don't know, but you and I seem to be the only people posting in it.
And
still
that
have
one
under
guy
40, so.
that popped in every now and then.
Oh yeah, him too, whatever his username was.
Well, there's a guy that I think he's already in the 40s and he's only been signed on for something like 4 months, and I don't think he posts on the forum. I think it's I'm trying to think one of the webs. I think it's the fun questions with the questions. This guy I noticed that he only signed up like 4 or 5 months ago and he's already at 38 karma. I'm like, are you
There's
kidding
only
me?
one person
I've been
that
on here for a year and I haven't gotten that much karma.
He's
I've
the
had it for
Institute
8
Gigolo.
years.
there's one person, I don't know if you know about it, but there's somebody called Brown Man on the site, and he has level 99, and he hasn't done anything.
I think that's Ray.
Well,
that's not Ray.
no, Ray is
Ray has
Ray,
that.
but there's a separate account that's called Brown Man.
What do you mean he hasn't done anything?
Like, if you look at his account, he has level 99 karma, but
If you
he
look at his
hasn't done
journals
anything, he
and
hasn't
all that, he
posted.
hasn't done anything. Huh,
Well, he could have deleted everything.
that's true.
There's a few people that I know that signed on
Whoa.
right about the time I did, about 7 years ago, and then they just decided to keep their profile but deleted all their journals and any proof of their existence that they could.
Cool.
Strange thing to do,
I'm
but
actually looking at
that
Brown
is-
Man right now. He's
I
seven.
can-
Is he the 17-year-old one? That's because I saw
Yeah, I
picking
mean,
up
it's just he's just there, and he signed. See, the thing is, it's hard to get to level 99, and he's only
He has
he
nothing.
signed in. No, yeah, he signed up a year ago.
9 months to be precise. Oh wait, that's when he last signed in. He signed in 9 months ago. Yeah, he's level 99. That was the last time he signed in.
Zapty's apparently already discovered him.
So, Mr.
Yeah.
Fusion, Why
Yes.
changing topics? Why did you decide to go with Mr. Fusion over your old name?
Kind of like the original name. I wanted to change the name, and I was watching Back to the Future 2,
Oh,
and I wanted something a little more. Just it didn't have to be, because okay, I don't know if you guys post on websites like Fark.com. I post on that.
can't
I
say I
post.
have, no.
Okay, I post regularly on Fark and on Twitter, and my handle is FinFang Fark. Okay. And so what I do is, and just part of like one of my hobbies is I like to watch wrestling and I find it funny. Okay, and no, I know it's fake. Let me put in that disclaimer. Yes, I know it's fake and it's not real and all that stuff. But anyway, I've been watching it since I was a kid, so it's just kind of a habit of mine. Well, we started up a kind of a community of people that watch the wrestling, like Raw and SmackDown, and they created a forum, a thread each Monday night on the website Fark. If you don't know what Fark is, it's kind of a news aggregate site where users submit catchy and zingy topics to the threads, and then they send links to the direct news sites. And on the right hand side, you have discussions where people can just comment on whatever the story's about. So if it's about in the UK, some boy jacks up a bill of $12,000 on Microsoft Live, we go into the forum and post about how the parents are stupid and they're just how can a kid do that in one day? And the mom's trying to sue Microsoft when obviously she doesn't watch what her kid's doing, things like that. So they have we started up a community. We just call it the FWC, the Fark Wrestling Community, and we just on Monday nights go in and on watch Raw, and we just basically do like a commentary in the thread, and it's mostly. It's humorous. It's not serious, and we make fun of the characters. We make fun of the bad writing and how Vince McMahon is stupid, things like that. A lot of inside wrestling jokes, and if you're not a wrestling fan, you wouldn't like it. And, well, anyway, long story short, I didn't want to use that name on the Rooster Teeth website because it's kind of a different personality. I'm not a personality, but a different form of communication to have with these people. So I was like, okay, I need something better than Cash Hunt. It just sounds really lame. So I was watching Back to the Future 2, and I said, Mr. Fusion, I like that. It's got a nice little ring to it. So I emailed him, and he responded back like a minute later saying, do you want it because it's available? I said, give it to me. So a minute later, it just changed. So I was like, okay, I'm Mr. Fusion now. So
Yeah, that is a much sexier name, I will admit.
yeah, Cash Hunt's just, the thing is that I don't like, working RTX. If I run into, so let's say we're working a panel with Gus or something, he's going to say Cash Hunt. Oh, that just sounds like a stupid, I could just picture him saying that just sounds like a stupid name. So I'm like, yeah, I'll just change
Well,
it.
what
no,
are
I'm
you
guessing
calling
probably
you by
say
your
that.
username when you're working there?
Well, they know, I mean, they go through a lot of these forums and they recognize people. I don't know if you listen to the Rooster Teeth podcast regularly. Bernie a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago says he recognizes people by their pictures and their names. That's how he correlates them. So if somebody changes their avatar, he kind of just he loses track of them. And then if someone says they run into him at an event, oh, I'm so and so and so and so, and he's like, what? And he'll figure out what character is. Oh, did you change your picture? Yeah, it used to be X, Y, Z. He's like, oh, why'd you change it? That's how he remembers. So I kept the Heisenberg icon I'm just keeping that, but I figured I'd just change the name so it just sounds better.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Well, I mean, I don't know why people expect members of the community, not community, but Bernie and those type of people to even be able to remember. I mean, they have thousands and thousands of people trying to communicate with them
if
all
you're
the
a
time.
sponsor, if you're a sponsor and you comment on threads regularly, they'll eventually ask some of us maybe, to moderate threads if they get really active, and so they just, I mean, a lot of the staff and crew, they do recognize, because they'll make comments on the podcast occasionally, and I hear them read them off by name, by their website name, rather than, oh, that's Steve so and so. They'll say, oh, it's whatever the name is. Oh, okay, were they talking about someone on the website? And then he'll mention blah 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 on the website. So yeah, they pay attention. I'm not saying that they're constantly in the forums, but they do read through some of these forums and these threads.
That makes sense, though.
Well, I've been watching most of the recent ones, and I haven't heard them mention that much. I mean, they've read off tweets,
Yeah.
but they haven't
That's
really
because like
mentioned
everything has
people.
been live lately.
Yeah, it's everything's live now. When it was recorded, I think they would mention more people on the forums.
Sorry, folks.
Now I missed the random user submitted intro to the podcast. That was
Yeah, I missed that. Those are all good.
Yes, they were.
Gus. Gus.
That was probably my favorite. That was probably my favorite.
All right. Okay. So, same question to you, Master Keg 200. Why Master Keg 200?
Well,
Because he's
Master-
not 100. I mean,
Yeah.
Do you
yeah,
en-
the guy big 200. You gotta go for the bigger number. But well, Master. If you go to almost any site I have an account on, Master is somewhere in the name. Master's like a thing I've been using.
Egotistical much?
Are you a master of anything, actually?
Excuse me?
Are you actually like a master of anything?
No. Besides Master of my room.
he's master of
Okay.
kegs.
Master debater?
No, not really.
He is master of puppets pulling your strings. That's what he is.
Oh.
I just bombed that joke. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, epic
A
fail.
little
Really bad.
bit. Anywho, the keg that came when I made this account like a year ago. I was learning in my, I think American or World History class about the powder keg of Europe before World War One, and it said the powder keg was like something that if anything happened here, boom, war, like bang, war would start automatically. So then I started using keg for a lot of stuff because at the time I was very short-tempered, and
You wouldn't happen to be short in stature too, would you?
No, I'm not. I'm almost 6 feet.
Then why the hell do you have such a short fuse? Short people are supposed to be the ones with the short tempers.
Is it?
I don't know why, but
I mean,
I've just been very
vertically challenged people. Sorry.
Okay, that's better. That's because I know several short people.
What's vertically challenged?
It means they didn't grow enough when they were in
No.
their
I mean,
teenage years.
what's the height cutoff for that?
Oh yeah, that's a good question.
I'd say like 5'5".
Yeah, there we go. That's good enough.
Oh,
Okay.
I know people that are way shorter than 5'5".
Well, what about male and female?
Well, they, a female 5'6". I mean, they're
Okay, that's-
models.
Yeah.
They're considered like eligible to be supermodels at that height. So yeah. I dated a girl who was 5'8", and everyone called her like an
Giant.
NBA center. So 5'8", 5'9". Yeah.
Well, that's not really that tall.
It's not though. I'm 5'10", so it's not that
I'm-
tall.
I'm around 6. It changes every time I measure myself, though.
You're not.
Are you wearing different shoes?
That was going to be my
No.
question. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have.
No,
You're not
It's
wearing
just it
heels,
just depends
are
on
you?
the scale. Sometimes it's like saying it was
No, I
6,
think out of all the
6.
people in this podcast that will wear heels, he's the least likely, or one of the
I
least
know.
likely.
I know.
Have
Trust
you
me.
ever?
Over time, we'll make jokes, but we can save that.
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't. I know that
In pub-
Ken
yeah, have you ever
has,
done it
though.
in public then?
I've actually got some really funny pictures from the last time I was in Michigan visiting my family, where Ken and I went with two of my cousins to a shoe store. We were trying to get some shoes for my cousin, and he got bored because Kenton's a little bit, ADD, and so he decided he was going to start trying on the women's shoes that were big enough to fit him, and the lady there that was helping us, she's like, "Oh my God, this is awesome!" And so she started running around the store finding heels that were big enough to fit his feet. Here, try these on.
Wow.
I can only imagine seeing that.
Oh, it was awesome. I took pictures and posted them on Facebook right away. It was
You
awesome.
pretty much have to when something like that happens.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like mandatory.
Well, since you're coming to RTX, I was gonna say, I think a lot of people on the RTX forums are talking about organizing, like, I know there's a side quest group. I don't know if you've heard about that. You buy a badge and you have access to some of these side events. Like there's a happy hour, and they'll have a charity auction at the happy hour where the proceeds go to Child's Play, things like that. And it's really fun because if you've never been to Austin, it's a really great place. I lived there for about 10 years. It's where I spent a lot of my radio time there. I love Austin. It's like my second home.
I would love to live there.
Oh, it's a great town because it's just the environment for one thing, and when you're a young adult, it's a great place to be because there's great food, great entertainment. I mean, there's just an assortment of things there. So I know a lot of people that are first timers going to Austin, and in those forums I've told them you're gonna have a blast. But let me tell you, if you have any questions on where to go, like you want to certain places you want to eat, you don't want to eat. Oh yeah, I really want to try a good Mexican place. Someone told me this Matt's El Rancho. No, you don't eat there. It's a shithole. Don't eat there. I would trust you right. Tell you right now. When that restaurant's filled with elderly white people, it's not a good Mexican restaurant. So
yeah, that's a dead giveaway right there.
yeah, you walk in, it's like all these old German people, sitting at every single table. That's not a good Mexican restaurant. Not so. But I mean, I'm just saying. At some point, we can. I didn't know who else on the forum thread was going to RTX, but if you haven't been to Austin, it's a great place. There's like great bars, great nightlife, and going around the 4th of July weekend, it's a great time to go. So they picked a really good time to have the convention. I can tell you that. It's hot as hell, but it's worth the trip.
What's the
That'd
average
be-
temperature around it?
Fucking hot.
Yeah, like you said.
Okay,
I'd
there's
rather prefer
their
it to
winters are
be
like my
hot
summer.
than
Let's
cold.
say that.
Yeah, well, I live in Houston, which is about 2.5 hours east. But if you drive like me, I could get to Austin in under 2 hours. So,
I could probably get there in about an hour and a half.
so it's really hot. It's humid in Texas, but in Houston it's really bad because we're pretty close to the coast. But when you get to Austin, the Hill Country area, it's hot. It's not as humid, so it's a little more manageable. The humidity is what kills you. It's just like a sweat house when you walk outside. In July, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Have you ever? There was like this really good snow cone place that has like, I don't remember exactly what it's called, but it had this snow cone with sunglasses, and it was like just everywhere. They have a lot of different stuff like that.
Oh yeah,
the
there's
snow
all these
cone
little all
sunglasses.
these little places to eat, little places for things like you're talking about. There's a couple little snow cone places that people just line up around the building to go to around the trailer. Yeah, there's places like that all over Austin. It's a great. I mean, there's just so many little things. Someone I think on one of the forums said, "Oh, okay, well, I really want to go get breakfast tacos." It's like, oh, there's a couple of really good places that you can go to in the morning, and then of course barbecue. There's so many really good options there, but it's not just about the food. I don't want to sound like a fat ass, but there are some really good dining places, live
it's like
music.
it's like a
bars.
nice town that's all wrapped around into one. That you can find everything that you want there, and
Yeah.
not have to drive more than 15 minutes for most of it.
And the good thing is you're not going to be stuck with like chain places, like chain bars, chain restaurants. There's a lot of independently owned places that are good. So
Good. That's
it-
exactly what we're looking for when we're going to go visit someplace new. We don't want the damn chains. You can get the
Hey,
same food anywhere, but it's the local
hey,
shit
yeah,
that's unique.
I agree. Someone said, "Oh, well, what about sushi places?" Oh, there's 2 or 3 really good sushi places in Austin that are
Actually,
just
that was me
independently
that
owned.
was asking
Yeah,
about
it was
that.
you. It was you. Yeah. So there's a couple of really good places. Like there's one that's probably I'd say about 5 minutes from where the convention center is, and my wife makes jokes about it all the time because Austin it's a very compact place. So you'll drive 5 minutes north and you're already North Austin, which here in Houston you drive an hour and a half and you're still not in North Houston. Here in Houston it's just so expansive compared to Austin, and that's like I said. There's a lot of fun things. The nightlife. If you're gonna come on the 4th of July, they have a fireworks show downtown, which there's so many cool things to do. So I was just wondering if anyone else was coming in. I mean, I will be probably driving in on the 4th of July that early afternoon or mid morning, and then I'll check into the hotel, and then I'm just gonna do my I have kind of a routine. I grab a Slurpee from 7-Eleven, go to my favorite comic book shop in town, and then just hang out, and then I'll probably go to the little cocktail party for charity
I-
that night.
I don't know how early I'm going to be coming in, but I'm lucky enough to have a house there that my family has, so we can just
Uh-huh.
stay there.
Ooh, lucky bastard you.
I know, lucky you.
So, we can always find a place to, just hang out before or after.
Where are you coming in from?
San Antonio, so it's not that far.
Oh yeah, you're not that far at all. I lived in San Marcos for a few years. I went to both the University of Texas and when it was Southwest Texas. And I'll tell you what, if you're a fan of the the lake life. I know one person here will say that they're not into this, but the girls in the bikinis and the cowboy hats.
Yeah,
San
that's
Marcos
me. I'm not interested in all that
You're like,
shit.
that's me. San Marcos is the place to go when you're young.
What's a
it's just-
bikini?
Now, what
I live in
happens for
Canada,
those of
I've
us
never seen those.
that want to see the scantily clad guys and not the girls? Where do we go?
You go to Austin.
Oh,
No, you're
perfect.
fine.
That's where we're gonna be.
There's a gay bar that I've been to many times because I have lots of friends over there over the years that would want to just go down to. There's the Rainbow Room, and then the Cattle Company. Those are the two
The
big ones in
cattle
Austin.
company?
I'm not kidding. It's yes.
That sounds so wrong on so many different levels.
Well, I
Yes.
mean,
Is there any
Yeah.
significance behind that? Like, why'd they call it the cattle company?
No,
because it's
I don't know.
Texas. That's
Yeah,
why.
exactly.
And everything's bigger in Texas. So, Sweetman, can you put your mouth real close to your microphone and tell us why you decided to go with the sweet man, even though you're not gay, so I know you're not sweet on men.
No, my name is Sweetman, and I get on the internet I have Sweetman up all over the place, and I get a lot of time people are like, oh, you're a sweet man, but that's not really how it is. So, it's pretty simple. Like,
So do you
My name's
taste
Sweetman.
sweet then?
I might, I don't know.
Are you
Never
trying
really
to taste
tasted
him
myself.
now?
No. I'm not gonna ask him to let me lick him. No. Because if you're gay, then the opposite sex doesn't feel any sort of not offense, but what do you say?
Threatening.
Yeah, they're not
maybe?
threatened by you, so you can ask them anything, and they don't give two shits.
Well, how can they tell that you're not faking?
Chicks usually have better gaydar than men do,
Yes, they do. They do.
so usually that's not an issue.
Did you ever meet somebody who, I know this guy, and I'm pretty sure that he's gay, but he doesn't know it yet?
Oh, one of those? Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen those. And then
Well, I had someone that I didn't know until we were all through high school, and I thought he was just kind of flamboyant, but not all the way. But and after I met him again in college, he was just like talking about how he just met this other person, and it was like, okay, I didn't even know.
yeah,
or,
almost.
or the people that tell you about it, and you're like, yeah, I understand that. Kind of in retrospect.
Yeah, almost everybody that I've ever talked to, that when you talk to me, like, okay, there's something about you that's a little bit off, a little too flamboyant, a little too something. You can't quite put your finger on it, and then you don't see them for a few years, and you come back to them, and you say, oh, I haven't seen you forever. How have you been? And they're that kind of awkward, and you're like, oh, come on, what's going on? And then they tell you that they've recently come out, and you're like, okay, I knew it. I could have called that a few years ago. I should have known. That happens a lot.
Well, I mean, I work with my boss. His son, he's in the closet, but we know, and and it's no big deal because he's made passing comments. And then one of my previous boss was he's gay, and he kept it real. He tried to keep it discreet. My roommate, and finally, one day he made a comment about a guy, and he goes, "Oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I know you're gay." I'm like, I've known since pretty much day one. Oh, well, you're not gonna say no. It's your business. I said, and I joke. I lived in Austin for 10 years, so I have a sense of humor when it comes to this. I'm like, okay, it's no, I don't care. It's your life. It's your choices. Whatever you want to do, as long as you're happy, just don't hit on me. And he,
Oh god.
and he knew I was messing with him. I'm just don't hit on me, okay? That's all I ask. And but yeah, you're right. Women have a very strong gaydar. They do.
It's uncanny.
Yeah, that is,
It really is.
And well, and the uncanny thing is, it doesn't take them long.
What are you doing?
That's Sweet Man. He's banging on something.
Okay. Are you building
No.
a shelf over there?
No, there's a woodpecker outside.
He was
Ah.
experiencing technical
was it really?
difficulties.
I find that kind of funny. I hear knocking sounds while we're talking about the gay lifestyle. That's just.
hmm
Mhm.
I will admit the
Oh,
first thing
yeah.
I pictured in my mind's eye was not a woodpecker.
Well, it wasn't wood, but well, it was wood.
And pecker, maybe pecker, but not in the same context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well,
And here I was going to try and keep my mind out of the gutter for this podcast.
it's quite all right, man. We're all adults.
We're all adults.
Has anyone seen the new Iron Man 3 trailer?
Yes.
No, but
Yeah, I
I
was watching
heard
that
a lot of
today.
people saying it was good.
Looks really good. I was kind of worried initially when the first trailer came out. It just seemed like they were trying to squeeze everything in like Spider-Man 3 did. But when I saw this last one, it looks very promising to me. It does.
But
I'm
I've had
curious how
my
they're working it.
hopes shattered by so many thirds, like the third X-Men, horrible.
Yes.
Third Spider-Man, even though it had
Awful.
Venom in it, and I adore Venom.
Well,
it
I didn't think
sucked.
I
No,
I
they
didn't
cast
think it
the
was
wrong
too
guy.
bad. I mean, I liked
No,
the movie.
no,
Two
no.
was still my favorite movie overall. I mean, I loved 2. I mean, Doc Ock was just so well done.
Well, Spider-Man
They
2
did
was
a
a
great
great
job.
movie. It really
Yeah.
was.
But yeah, I've
The
had my
problem-
heart broken by so many thirds in these damn franchises that I've just kind of gone the path of apathy. So
What-
until I actually see this new movie, I'm just gonna be
What
sitting
about-
here with
what
my
about
arms
Pirates?
crossed, giving it the
What
side
about
eye.
Pirates 3.
You know what? That is not a reasonable excuse.
Where
I
did-
need Portal
where-
3, damn it.
I've heard that a bunch recently because I just got into Portal. But where did that originate? That phrase or whatever.
I don't
'Cause
know.
I've heard that before before looking on Rooster Teeth. Does anyone know?
Mm-mm.
No idea.
I'm sorry, I had to step out for a sec. What was the question?
Where
What?
Valve, the quote that Valve cannot count to 3. We're trying to figure out where that came from.
Oh, it was on a forum. Which forum was it? Pull it up right now. It was discussed. Yeah, it was the forum thread. It was a discussion about how there should be
No.
a Portal 3.
It wasn't.
That happened
it
earlier
wasn't-
today.
It didn't originate there because I've seen it other places, but
I need a Portal 3, damn it. There's no excuse that they can give why there should not be a Portal 3.
They don't want to jump the shark.
As long as it has GLaDOS in it, it doesn't matter what sort of setting it's got. It'll be
as
awesome.
long as it has Wheatley in it. That
You know,
was
Chell
it
is an
was-
okay character. She doesn't say much, but the real star of the show is GLaDOS. As long as it's got her in it, you know,
Agreed.
it can have an entirely new cast of entirely new a new person and new side people. As
Well-
long as she's in it, that's all that matters. Oh
One
my
thing I loved when I was watching Tobuscus's gameplay is that when he was just as clueless as Wheatley in some cases, so they were just kind of talking back and forth.
Tobuscus!
An entertaining dialogue in the storyline of a video game goes a long way. Like in Borderlands 2, the dialogue was just I found it hilarious, and Handsome Jack just made it 10 times better for me. So I agree. If the dialogue is very fluid and there's a lot of good humor in it, it makes the game more manageable for me. It does.
Kind of like everything David Cross says in Halo.
Oh, David Cross is hilarious.
Did you ever see Arrested Development?
I have not seen that actually.
It's a good show.
Yeah, it's
David
supposed
Cross
to
in
be really
it?
popular.
Nothing but one-liners,
Yeah.
like stuff to put on T-shirts.
And I haven't caught any of the new episodes on Netflix, but I plan to at some point. Right now, I'm going through Game of Thrones. I started season 1 a couple days
I've
ago.
heard that is really good.
Oh man, I just finished season 1 last night. I stayed up, I watched the first half earlier. I think on Sunday I watched the first 5, and then yesterday all afternoon from work until late at night I watched the final 5. And the first season was unbelievable. I mean, you get hooked, man. I mean, someone told me, "Hey, don't start on a work day because you're gonna want to watch a lot of episodes." And
Shit, yeah, that sounds exactly like me. I have to marathon a show that I'm really into.
yeah.
I can't sit there and just watch one episode. It's like, no, give me an entire day. I'm going to sit here on this couch, going to have some snacks. I'm just going to watch this show all day long.
What's like Breaking Bad? The first season's not that great, but it picks up at the end of season 1. But man, from season 2 on, it's a really good show. It's probably my favorite show. I know a lot of people say The Wire's the greatest show ever, but for me, Breaking Bad and like. It's one of those things where I was glad I didn't watch the first 2 seasons as they aired, because it was a show that you have to watch. You get so hooked into it that you want to watch it all right away.
That's how True Blood was for me. I had no intention on ever watching that show. When I worked at Best Buy, they had advertisements for the series on the screens, and I was looking at that and I'm like, wow, this show looks so retarded. I don't know why anyone would watch this. And then my best friend, she said, hey, I want you to watch True Blood with me. I'm like, really? And she's like, no, really, it's a really good show. Just watch it with me. So I sat there and I watched the first 3 episodes with her. I'm like, okay, I'll admit, I actually kind of like this show. And after that, I had to marathon the rest of it just because, like, those damn cliffhangers they have at the end.
Yeah.
Those are the worst.
Yeah, they're resolved within the first 5 minutes of the next episode, but it's just enough to where, like, I need to know what's going to happen, and I have the next episode right here, so fuck whatever time of day it is, I'm going to watch it.
That's why my wife, The Walking Dead's back on, which I really like the show, and I'd prefer having her watch the entire season in one swing, on one weekend, because when we watch it on Sunday nights at the end of the episode, she's like, "Oh, come on, man."
Yeah, that's the worst.
What I hear at the end of every episode. Come on, man, I have to wait. Yes, you have to wait. Oh, man.
That's how it was with me when I was watching Lost. Every time they ended an episode, I'm like, what? I cannot wait to the next week to see what's going to happen. I need to know now.
Yeah. I was saying that The Walking Dead, it's a really good show. I know that AMC's kind of treated the showrunners really bad, but they've managed to keep it at a really good pace. Season 2, there was a lull of about 4 or 5 episodes that a lot of people really complained about, and I agree it was kind of a lull when they're at the farm. But season from 1 to 3, it's definitely a show that you could watch. You can sit down and watch all the way through and not complain and say, okay, yeah, this wasn't worth my time. It's a good show. It really is. But like this is coming just from someone that's a big fan of comic books, and I love the Walking Dead comics, so I'm glad that they were able to adapt the comic into the TV show format and not take too much out of it, if that makes sense.
That is good when they're able to convert it without dropping out too much.
Yeah, I actually bought The Walking Dead on Blu-ray. It was on sale at Best Buy the other day. Or not the other day, it was the other month. But at the same time, I also bought Once Upon a Time, the first season, because they also had that one on sale.
Uh-huh.
And I wound up watching that instead of The Walking Dead. And holy shit, that show just drew me right in. I had to watch the first 2 seasons, well, as much of the second season as they have out. I've watched every episode, and I'm just sitting here eagerly waiting for the next one to come out. It's an amazing show.
I don't watch too many television shows.
Well, I technically don't watch any television shows.
Well, any shows that are aired on television originally are television shows. Just because you watch them on like Netflix or something doesn't make them not television shows.
Well, you don't have all the commercials. I can't justify watching commercials when you can watch them without commercials on the internet.
Yeah, that's one thing I don't understand is why they have commercials so long for certain things. Especially, it really annoys me when they have a commercial right after the theme song or the intro,
Mm-hmm.
and when they have it right before the credits. That just doesn't make any sense.
That's because they're expecting you to sit around to watch the next show that's coming on.
Exactly, the next preview
Well,
and
they
the
could
next
have
show.
the credits first and then do the commercials in between shows.
I'm sure
Do you
they've
watch
done.
the credits?
No, I don't usually.
Just try to find a show that's on that doesn't have any credits going
Like the only way I watch credits is like if it's a like on an anime where they have the credits before the actual show.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like old Disney movies.
Yeah, and then if it's on Netflix, then I just skip forward on the little status bar at the bottom until I get past the credits. Yeah, I'll watch like the first time I watch a show, I'll watch the credits all the way through because I want to get the theme song, and if they have some sort of animation with all the characters, I'll watch that once, and then after the second episode or third episode, then I just start skipping it because it's the same thing.
It's like Death Note, that anime Death Note. It was the intro. The intro is very good, but I tell you what, after a few times, you're kind of sick of it.
Yeah,
know-
It's like, okay.
it's
Oh.
hard to find a show with a really good intro that you can watch over and over without wanting to skip it.
You know what
Yeah.
show that I could actually watch the intro to every time was from Full Metal Alchemist. They actually changed it up like 4 or 5 times throughout the series.
Ooh, I like when they do that. Sometimes the characters like jumping around wouldn't make sense in the later seasons, so that's also why.
Yeah. Oh, and I was so heartbroken when Lust finally bit the dust. She was my favorite. What was this? The most recent one that I've watched? It was something and a vampire.
Cause
Oh
there's
yeah, that thing with the vampire.
Oh yeah,
I
the
wonder
show
what-
with the thing and the vampire that does the thing. Yeah.
Well, I want to say Rosary and a vampire, but it wasn't Rosary. But the first word started with an R. It's about the kid that winds up going to the school for monsters, and he befriends the super hot vampire chick.
Oh gosh.
It's
Animated?
hilarious.
Is it Rosario and the vampire?
Yes, that's the one. That's
Okay.
the one. And it's hilarious. And then someone told me that it sucked by comparison to the manga. So I've started reading the manga, but I'm only like four books into it. So I can't really say if it's better or worse than the manga, but it's hilarious in its own right.
Yeah, there was a period where, I mean, even though I've been a part of the site, like I've been a member and followed them from day one, there was a stretch from about season 5 to season 7 where it was I would still watch the episodes, but I didn't really follow it too much. I would just peek in and out. So and same thing with the website. So it was about maybe 2.5 years where I had moved from Austin to Houston, and I was just working in radio, working my butt off, and it was kind of a bad time in terms of my job because I moved to Clear Channel, and they're just the epitome of ruining the the broadcasting business. They are the great evil empire of broadcasting. They've ruined the industry, and I told people I would never work for Clear Channel, and then in 2006 they offered me a job to come work at a sports station and produce my
And you're
own
like,
show.
oh fuck.
Yeah, well, the main thing is it was working in Austin. It was I worked in news and I did cover sports and I did some talking. I did mostly behind the scenes stuff, but a big chunk of it was I would help with the sports on the sports side. And when I got this opportunity to come to Houston, I have major franchises here, sports franchise, professional franchises, as opposed to dealing with just Longhorns sports in Austin for the University of Texas. So it was what I wanted to do. When I got here, from day one, I dealt with politics. I was offered a full-time job. My first mistake was not signing a contract or an agreement, getting it in writing. The day when I get here, the manager that hired me, his boss was fired. So my full-time job became a part-time job until I had to threatened to seek legal action over that, which then all of a sudden I got my full-time job. But it was just dealing with some really bad creative minds, and it shouldn't come to this, but it killed my passion for the business. So then that's when I got out of the business after working there. But that whole time it was really rough because I had just gotten engaged. We were in the process of getting married, and having a job that it was my passion. It's what I studied in college, and it didn't work out for me. But I look back, it was a bad time, and I missed out on some good stuff, especially with Red vs. Blue. You could see that's when it started really apexing, hitting their stride. The storyline expanded just beyond what the Blood Gulch Chronicles were about in not only that, but the animation and everything about Rooster Teeth started growing, and I kind of missed out on the early stages of that. So at this point, it's great to see where they're at now, and watching what Bernie and the guys are doing. It's really admirable that they've been able to be kind of almost like pioneers on the internet show industry. It's really good to see.
Well, they really are pioneers on the internet industry. I don't know any other machinima series that has seen the success that Red vs. Blue has.
And the longevity.
And I think they were like there and before YouTube, pretty much.
Yeah, they were before
Yeah.
YouTube. They would throw these shows in QuickTime format and AVI format on
That's
the website.
right. I remember that.
And they did. It was and it's as far back as I can think. It's been $10 for 6 months as a sponsor since I think day one, And
I thought it was $10 for a year to begin with.
you
No.
may be right. For some reason, I'm thinking it was 6 months, but you
Well,
may
that's
be
not what
right.
I've had to play. When I first became a sponsor, it was $6 for. I mean, $10 for 6 months.
When did you
you're,
sign
you're
up?
pretty young compared to some of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I.
But I mean,
Like-
when did you sign up? Do you remember?
Well, I can I can look right
You
now.
could just look at it originally.
Yeah, I know. I signed up 7 years ago, and I think
I
it used to.
signed up October 5th, 2011.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's fairly recent, but he may be right in that he may be right that it was $10 for a year. I don't for some reason I was thinking it's 6 months, but even then, if you had paid for a sponsorship, you would go to the website and you would you would download the video in either QuickTime or AVI format.
And
that's
only
how
the
you watch it.
sponsors had it in HD.
Yeah, and only the sponsors had it
boy.
in HD, and it was funny because when it would post on Mondays, the show would post. Sponsors got it first, and then a couple hours later,
Mhm.
the general public would get it. I'm not kidding, but the non-sponsors would just blast the comments underneath under the new episode saying, I can't wait, and by the time it was released to the general community, there were already several hundred comments like, okay, all right, don't tell us what happens. And none of the sponsors would comment because they would be like, oh yeah, I got the show. And people would be so mad that the sponsors would get it. It's like, hey guys, dish out the $10 and you can get it.
We were like celebrities back in the day.
But yeah, it's been great to see, and yes, I do think that they're pioneers in the business because they were around. Yeah, before YouTube was around, they were posting, and they'll tell, if you go through some of their videos, they'll tell the stories about how they noticed Gus would watch the traffic, and the traffic, he would watch the servers that would pick up, and he noticed that a lot of Microsoft people on their servers were just spreading it around and then spreading the link around, and that's when Bungie got involved and like, hey, you keep doing what you're doing, and I think there was a bit of a concern that Bungie wouldn't like it, but it's good to see that they developed a strong relationship with
Yes,
them.
that was one of the things that made me fall in love with Bungie to begin with. When
Yeah.
when they were so cool with Red vs. Blue and how they actually tried to help Rooster Teeth as much as they could.
But they integrated them into their product. That was
Yes,
that was
yes,
great.
it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
I mean, even. I mean, even though it's not Bungie, now they're even
343 Industries.
Easter eggs in Halo that are completely like if you didn't know what Red versus Blue was, you wouldn't even know like why Caboose is suddenly talking over the microphone.
Oh, I know, I loved that Easter egg. That was hilarious. The other guy is not available right now.
Although I don't know how if you didn't know where the Easter eggs were, I don't know how in the world you would end up finding that.
Well, they would
Like-
be Easter eggs then, would they?
That's right, Macklin.
Yeah.
Some of them are like so like far hidden. It's surprising how people find it so fast after it comes out.
Well, Chaos, that's this little thing called the internet, and they know that once that the game is released, someone's gonna go through with a fine-tooth comb and find all the secrets, and they're gonna post it, and then everyone's gonna Google that post, and then
There's a guy with a big old case of Mountain Dew sitting in his mom's basement that picked up
Yeah,
a
he's-
copy of that game, and that's his sole objective is to
Did you
find
see
those
that
things.
episode of South Park, Make Love Not Warcraft? The big
Yes,
fat guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like that with his hand on the keyboard and,
And
the other
wrist,
bag in
the
his
wrist,
chips.
the wrist protector and all that. Yeah.
Yes, that's that guy. He's the one that figures all this shit out, and then we just Google it and benefit from his expertise.
Yeah, we're small potatoes compared to those guys.
Quite literally, much smaller.
Yes.
I try, but I don't think my gamer score is even that high.
What's your gamer score?
Not even. It's like just over 7,000 right now.
It is kind of low.
Mine's
What's-
barely. It's just a tad under 9,000, but that's because I do a lot of PC gaming too. A lot of time on Star Wars: The Old Republic.
Yeah.
I spend a
What's
lot of time
mine?
PC gaming as well. So
I've got to look mine up now. What is mine?
Yeah, I'm checking.
33,000. Okay, mine is kind of high.
wow,
33,000.
over 33,000.
Well, I've got a few friends that have much higher gamer scores than that, but compared to you people,
I don't know. Sometimes achievements are just drive me crazy how difficult they are.
Well, I play a lot of sports games too, and then once you unlock those achievements, it's I know. Well, I mean, I'm a sports guy. What do you expect? But it's not like that's all I play.
Yeah, but the sports game, they give you the same thing every year with just different people filling in the polygons.
Oh no, I'm not one of those.
I
I'm
don't
not one
know,
of
that's
those
not
game.
fair.
I'm
Well,
not one of those nuts that
they
grab
do
the
make
brand new
small
copy.
improvements to like how well the game flows. It's not
Not
Don't try to
really.
justify it. No.
Yeah, I agree with
I
him.
don't play
It's
them
not-
at all. I don't like them at all.
I
No,
agree.
I'm-
I don't pick up the game. I'm not one of those. Oh, it's Madden night with the release. We got to get up at midnight for Madden. I'm like, fuck that. It's Madden. You know.
Yeah, those were the worst when I worked at Best Buy. Like, we have the midnight release of the new Madden game. I'm like, really? What's the difference between 2009 and 2010?
Oh, that's douche central right there, man. Guys that wait. I get really good games like Call of Duty, Halo, those action games. But when it comes to sports, if you're waiting overnight to get a sports game, it's pretty. It's not. It's douchebaggery at its best.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty big soccer fan, and I found like the last few years with FIFA, for instance, they've been making a lot of improvements on it and just really changing the way that you play.
Sweet Man has just admitted to being a FIFA fan. Everyone
love
shuns
it.
Sweet
But
Man.
you know what? I hate soccer as a sport, but FIFA on the
'Cause you're
Xbox is
American.
not that bad.
Okay, I can't really shun soccer because the guys that play it are pretty damn good looking.
So we
Oh,
know what
come
type
on.
of guy he's into. The lean guy
Yeah.
that
'Cause,
likes
you
to
know,
flop around
David
like
Beckham.
he's hurt.
Well, you know, you have the football players that are covered in the padding, so you can't really see what they really look like. But the soccer players, they're a lot more hardcore. They don't have all the pads on, but they're, you know,
Well,
they're,
to
they'll
be
they'll
fair,
knock
how
the
often
shit out
does
of each other.
tackling occur?
Oh, they do a lot worse in soccer than
Yeah,
tackling.
If you're playing it right, you get hurt a lot.
Soccer
Yeah.
players make football players look like pussies with the type of physical abuse that they can take.
And then if it's
Oh yeah, I
rugby,
got kicked in the head the other day.
then if it's
Like-
rugby, forget about it. Those guys are just dangerous.
No. Something I learned. Okay, from the last podcast, I was talking about my naked cannonball buddy.
Yeah.
She is a rugby player, and holy shit, rugby is the game for lesbians. They love it.
Blech.
Oh, big time.
Oh,
Big
yeah.
time. There's actually one of my friends from when I was in high school. I met her playing like football, and then I left midway through high school, and she ended up going to university the same town that I live in now, and we were chatting and stuff, and she was playing rugby there. She went on a play for the national team, but I was just talking. We should hang out again, catch up, get some coffee or whatever. She's like, yeah, I'm going to this cafe, gonna study. Like, you can come along if you want. Okay, cool. Who's gonna be there? Well, my girlfriend. And like something about it was like, do you mean significant other girlfriend? Like, yeah, is that a problem? I'm like, no, that's okay. And I kind of think back to like everything I know about her. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you're like,
You do-
suddenly it all makes sense.
You're like that scene in Chasing Amy where Jason Lee's character realizes he's in a lesbian bar. And
Yeah.
the alarm goes off. And he has that look like, oh, yeah. You're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. She liked to bench press a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Why didn't I realize this sooner?
We should probably wrap this thing up now.
Yeah, sure.
That's an interesting note to end on, though.
Lesbian
Lesbians
rugby.
and rugby.
Yes.
Perfect match, a match made in heaven. And then, of course, if you're into that type of thing, you can then watch a lot of lesbians beat the shit out of each other while playing.
I think
That's a good
only
name for a
sport-
rock band, lesbian rugby.
there's one sport that beats rugby for lesbianism, though.
What?
And that's roller derby, if you consider that a sport.
That's not really a sport.
Well, golf's a sport. So.
Softball.
You know,
College softball is a lesbian haven. That really
I'm
is.
going to be one of those persons that says golf is not really a sport and softball isn't really a sport either. I'm sorry if I offend anybody, but that's the honest truth.
Well, then
No,
what,
no.
Okay, what is your definition of a sport?
That's $1 million question.
Well, if you're going to get technical about it, anything can be described as a sport.
Mhm.
Fishing can be described as a
Well,
sport.
then, no, I'm asking what you describe as a sport.
What I would describe as a sport is anything that you would you'd have a big following of. So, like, you have the NFL, you have the National Football League. Anything that's big enough to have a national league of something and
Well,
actually
golf has a
gain.
pretty big,
Yeah, they're international.
They don't actually. Okay, in golf, they don't actually do anything but swing and hit a ball.
How about if you sweat while doing it? That's a sport.
Oh, I know a lot of sports then, if that's the case. I'm just saying.
Climbing up the
Some
stairs.
of those can be pretty fun sports, though. I can think of a few things that require sweating that
See?
are not sports that could be sports, and
Exactly.
maybe should be sports.
Yeah.
If the United States wasn't such a
A nation
Ain't-
of prudes.
I was gonna say anal retentive, but prudes works as well. Then yeah, we could actually have a lot of sports that wouldn't be accepted right now, but would be really fun to watch.
I
Yeah,
agree that
almost-
golf is not a sport; it's a borderline. It's a skilled recreation, much like bowling. If you
Yeah.
if you can drink a case of beer and still be effective at it, it's not a sport.
Yeah, like I would say
But what about cricket? Is that a sport?
I've never seen anybody play cricket, so I can't really say.
Ditto.
Because what I know about it is that if you're not batting and you're not in the field, you just drink all day.
Well, you know, the only way I knew about cricket to begin with was SimCity 2000, and you could build those sports arenas in your cities and then pick what sort of sport they played in it. And I
Yeah.
remember thinking, cricket? What the hell is cricket? And just because I have such big cities and I'd have all these different sports arenas, I'm like, okay, well, cricket, go ahead, whatever it is.
Since you bring it up, it's a good way to end a topic to end with the SimCity disaster that EA is going through right
Oh,
now.
I know.
I
I've
just-
Oh, what?
read
I just
about
want to
that.
make a quick comment in that. I'm actually happy because these big publishers that have their heads up their asses that think that they can charge $60 for a game and then have this online connection.
Oh,
It's-
motherfuckers. We are pissed off at EA for making SimCity 5 be online.
And it's
Wait,
a
how is
disaster.
How is it online?
Well, it's that business model that everyone's fearing that Microsoft's rumored to go to and Sony may be going to, but they've confirmed that it's not since, but that you have to always have an online connection to play the game, kind of like Steam.
Yeah.
But this
it
is
works
different.
for Steam, but for SimCity, well, if you go to the store and buy something,
Yes.
buy a physical copy of something, and then put it in your computer, and you have to be online.
Even
it-
even digital. I mean, Minecraft. You don't have to be online to play single player.
No,
that's
but there's no
because-
longer a single player. That's the model that these big publishers want to go to, like EA.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Blizzard
exactly.
Blizzard is the next one. They were trying to lead that way with Diablo 3, and they
Yes.
saw the disaster that happened.
Blizzard lost all sorts of cool
Well, and
points, in my
StarCraft
opinion.
Yeah.
They shouldn't
they did
ever
that.
force you to be multiplayer, because there's so many people with
But
horrible
it's
connections.
still technically it's still not multiplayer. You have to attach to their server to activate the
it's-
single player user on your
Isn't
game.
it called Always Online?
Yes, it's always online is the term they use now, and I'm hoping that this disaster, because Amazon, if you haven't heard, Amazon has pulled the game from download and from
Yes.
sale on
The
their
only
website.
place you can now buy it is in the physical store. All the
Yeah.
online stores have pulled it from their virtual shelves,
Yeah.
which sucks for anyone that goes to the store and buys it, because they're gonna buy it, go home, install it on their computer, and then try and log on, and they're gonna say, "Sorry, our servers are full. You, sir, are fucked."
hmm
Well,
And then-
apparently EA is offering a free game from their library to kind of make up for it.
That
To people that
their
own the game.
library, so they're gonna give someone a worn out
EA
piece
game.
of shit game.
Yeah.
to make
I
up
really
for
want
the
the
rest.
Sims date night.
The only thing that's good that can come from it is to prevent people from using like fake copies of the game.
Well,
Like,
you know,
actually have to.
this idea that that piracy and DRM is killing the industry, I don't buy it, because
No, it's a
Th-
lie.
now more people are going to Kick-Ass Torrent to download SimCity in hopes that someone does crack it, because their copy doesn't work effectively, and they paid $60 for it. So that's my feeling, is that the good thing that could come from this is that the big publishers realize that, you know what, you're going to piss off a lot of people that are spending a lot of money, and then with these new consoles you want to raise the prices again? No.
Actually, this reminds me a lot of. This point reminds me a lot of. Has anybody seen this show called The Jimquisition on The Escapist?
No.
What?
Yeah.
The guy's kind of obnoxious, but he actually is has made a lot of points, almost word for word of what you've said,
Uh-huh.
Mr. Fusion. With the whole idea of it just being a horrible idea and that it's a disaster for all of us who are actual hardcore gamers and supporters of all these games. But the publishers are just fucking everything up, and they're making it so much harder for the honest, okay, I'm going to spend $60 on this game and I'm going to play it. Oh, wait, I've got to put this password in. Oh, wait, now I have to be online all the time. Well, what if the internet connection isn't good? What if I don't have this? And
Wait, so if you sign in and then you lost connection, would you be booted?
Yes.
you are booted.
Yeah.
You are booted. You have to be on the server to play your game. You went to Best Buy and you spent $60, $59 plus tax.
Plus tax.
So $67, depending on where you're at, of course. If you're in Canada, I don't know what the tax rate is on this now, but
Probably more.
but you plug it in. I mean, you install it, and you have to create a profile. You have to attach this to the server. If for some reason your internet flakes out, or if their servers go down, which is apparently
What's been happening.
The
that
biggest
is more than
problem.
likely what's going to happen.
For
You
a
cannot
game
play
like-
your game. It's almost
For
like
games
it's
like
bricked.
Sim. I mean, I don't know how it is now, but the Sim games that I've played a while back, I don't see any point to putting it online like that. I mean,
No, it
maybe
doesn't make any sense.
The only thing I can think is, like, you can have like a multiplayer mode where two people can edit the same town at once.
No. Okay,
Yeah.
well, what they're doing here, okay, the excuse that they're using here is that when you play SimCity, you are in charge of your own city, but all the neighboring cities around you that you interact with are governed by other players over the internet. So instead of having a computer making the city next to you, where you have to exchange resources with them and try not to pollute them, or try and have treaties with them so they don't have a big heavy industry city next to your real green futuristic city. It's supposed to encourage you to communicate with your real life neighbors to try and have a productive city that's going to be what's the word?
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, that
I'm into
makes
my-
sense, but
I'm
you
into my
should be
fifth
able
drink
to
here, I
opt
can't
out
think
of
right.
that mode if you wanted to have AIs.
But what we're trying to say is, realistically, that's the excuse they want. The EA
Yes,
doesn't
yes.
want you stealing copies of other games and ripping them and posting them online. That's their way to counteract that, but they're using that reasoning as the excuse to prevent piracy, and it's turned around and it's bit them in the ass.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Fusion. That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah, because from what anyone that's a big fan of any of Maxis's products knows that they are devoted to their products,
Yes.
and they're devoted to the idea behind their products. So anything that's extra tacked on and seems shady is directly a result of who owns them now, which is EA, which has done all sorts of bullshit in the past.
Yep.
But they do make good sports games.
Well, that's because they went and not behind, but they went to the leagues and got exclusive deals about 6 or 7 years ago. 2K Sports was actually on a roll with their NFL and their NBA models. And
Yeah, they're pretty much gone now, aren't they?
They do the basketball, which is still better than the NBA Live by EA, but the football was just up to 2004 when this whole deal happened. They were on a roll, and people were buying that game, and plus it was cheaper with the old Xbox model. It was I think the games were $49.99 for the Madden version, but it was $39.99 for the 2K NFL, and people were just buying that hand over fist. So in the off season, EA went and bought exclusive rights with the NFL, and that was it. 2K was out of it. So that's
They've been going downhill ever since.
and they've been going downhill ever since. I agree.
Poor 2K. That's
Yep.
what happened to them.
Yep.
Then on that note, I think we should go ahead and call an end to this.
Yeah. Let's wrap this up, guys.
Sounds good.
All right.
Well, it's
Thank
been
you
a
all for
pleasure,
listening.
guys.
Signing off.
And bye.
Peace out, homies.
Cut.